The walls of the Forbidden Door didn't just crack tonight, they were pulverized. Welcome back to Wrestling Apocalypse, the only place where we dig through the wreckage of the most explosive nights in sports entertainment to find the truth buried beneath the surface. If you're sitting there right now thinking you've seen every surprise return, every shocking debut, and every holy shift moment in WWE history, I am here to tell you that you are officially unprepared for what just happened on Friday Night SmackDown. We aren't just talking about a return, we are talking about a resurrection. We are talking about the night the Lunatic Fringe reclaimed his asylum in the most bizarre, suspenseful, and absolutely unbelievable way possible. Tonight, the mystery box that has been haunting the production area for weeks finally opened, and the man who stepped out of the shadows wasn't just a superstar, it was the heart and soul of the wildest era in modern wrestling. Tonight, Jon Moxley, formerly known to the WWE Universe as Dean Ambrose, returned to the blue brand, and he did it with a violence that has changed the landscape of the road to WrestleMania forever. The atmosphere in the arena was thick with a tension that felt almost toxic. For weeks, ever since that strange, rusted steel crate appeared backstage with a simple property of the Void label, the rumors have been flying like wildfire. Some said it was a returning legend, some said it was a new weapon for the bloodline, and some even whispered it was the return of the Fiend's legacy. But as SmackDown reached its final segment, the arena went into a state of total blackout. No music, no lights, just a rhythmic, metallic tapping that seemed to be coming from the center of the ring. When the dim red emergency lights flickered on, the crate was there. It wasn't just a box, it was a cage. Nick Aldis stood on the ramp, looking more concerned than we've ever seen a general manager look. He didn't have his usual swagger. He looked like a man who had accidentally invited a hurricane into his house and was now trying to negotiate with the wind. He grabbed the mic, his hand visibly shaking, and told the crowd that the contract inside this box had been signed by the board of directors over his head. He said the man inside didn't care about the rules, didn't care about the title, and didn't care if the building was left standing by the time the night was over. And then, the crate didn't just open, it exploded. The front panel was kicked off with such force that it dented the ring post, and out stepped a man we haven't seen in a WWE ring for 7 long, grueling years. He wasn't wearing sequins. He wasn't wearing a costume. He was wearing a leather jacket that looked like it had been through a meat grinder and a look in his eyes that suggested he hadn't slept since he left. Jon Moxley was back. The Dean Ambrose name was dead, buried under the weight of his Death Rider persona, and as he stood in the center of that ring, the roar from the crowd was a primal, ear-splitting sound that could probably be heard 3 towns over. But he didn't grab a microphone. He didn't cut a promo about coming home. Moxley doesn't do homecomings. He does destruction. He looked around the arena with a smirk that was half madness and half malice, and then he looked directly at the commentary table, where Wade Barrett and Corey Graves were frozen in place. He hopped the ropes, grabbed a steel chair from a production assistant, and began a systematic dismantling of the ringside area that felt less like a wrestling segment and more like a riot. The first person to try and stop him was security 10 men in blue shirts who might as well have been made of paper. Moxley tossed them aside like they were trash, his style more visceral and gritty than anything we've seen on WWE TV in a decade. He wasn't using moves, he was using his hands, his head, and his rage. He caught one guard with a paradigm shift onto the concrete that sounded like a gunshot, and the silence that followed from the crowd was the sound of 15,000 people realizing that the PG era wasn't just over, it was being executed in front of them. Backstage, the fallout was instantaneous. Our sources are telling us that the locker room was in a state of absolute, paralyzed shock. We saw footage of Roman Reigns, the tribal chief himself, watching the monitor with an expression that wasn't anger, but something much more dangerous: recognition. The history between these two men isn't just a story, it's a blood feud that spans a lifetime. To see Moxley back on Roman's show is a declaration of war that bypasses any championship or any bloodline. It's personal. It's the Shield ghosts coming back to haunt the man who thought he had outrun them. The fan perspective is a total explosion of theories and excitement. On social media, Moxley on SmackDown hit #1 worldwide within 3 minutes of the crate opening. People are asking the big questions: is the Forbidden Door officially wide open? Did Triple H pull off the greatest heist in the history of the business? Or is this something even bigger, a multi-promotional war that will culminate at WrestleMania? The smart money is on a free agent status that allows Moxley to be the chaotic neutral of the industry, a man who answers to no one and ruins everyone's plans. Think about the psychological toll this takes on the roster. For months, Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, and AJ Styles have been jockeying for position, trying to navigate the political waters of the blue brand. But how do you navigate a man who doesn't play the game? How do you prepare for a wrestler who would rather lose a match and win a fight? Moxley brings a level of unscripted energy that makes every other superstar look like they're practicing a dance. He is the wild card that burns the deck, and tonight, he just set the entire shuffle on fire. The most chilling moment of the night wasn't the attack, though. It was what happened right before the cameras cut to black. Moxley climbed the turnbuckle, looked into the hard cam, and held up a single piece of paper, the contract. But it wasn't a standard WWE contract. It was covered in what looked like handwritten notes in red ink. He didn't sign his name, he signed a single word: anarchy. As the lights went out for the final time, the only thing you could hear in the arena was that same rhythmic tapping from earlier, Moxley hitting the steel chair against the canvas, a heartbeat for the chaos he's about to unleash. This is why we watch. This is why we obsess over every frame, every rumor, and every mystery box. Because tonight, the impossible became inevitable. Jon Moxley is the new reality of Friday Night SmackDown, and that reality is going to be bloody, loud, and completely unpredictable. We're going to be tracking his every move. We've got analysts looking at the legalities of his dual status, we're reaching out to our contacts in Jacksonville and Stamford to see how this deal was brokered, and we are waiting for the first word from the Death Rider himself. But I want to hear your voice. The Wrestling Apocalypse community is the smartest in the world, and I know your minds are spinning. Was this the best return in SmackDown history? What does this mean for Roman Reigns and the future of the Bloodline? Is a Shield reunion finally on the table, or are we looking at the most violent triple threat in the history of the business? Drop your theories, your rants, and your Mox emojis in the comments below. I'm reading every single one of them tonight. If you're as hyped as we are by this unbelievable reveal, hit that like button to support the channel. It helps us keep the lights on while we hunt down these stories. Smash that subscribe button and ring the bell, because you do not want to miss our emergency deep dive coming later this week, where we break down the secret history of the mystery box and how this changes the road to WrestleMania forever. The crate is empty, the lunatic is loose, and the apocalypse has officially arrived. I've been your host for Wrestling Apocalypse. Watch your back, stay loud, and we'll see you at the next bell.